Hello my friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Novella. Today is Sunday and that means Coffee Klatch. Coffee Klatch is a Dutch Flemish word, also German, also often used in New York, and it just means that I invite you over for a coffee and some chit chat. That's the meaning of the word klatsch, kletsen, chit chat. With me it's always about books, so if you like books, you're at the right place. So thank you for coming. Sit down, have a coffee yourself, or something stronger, or a tea, or whatever you fancy. I've read a couple of books, and where do we start? Oh yeah, for the Dutchies, I will do a Dutch review of 2 books at the end of this video, so after I say bye-bye. So keep watching. So I have read The Glass Cell by Patricia Highsmith, Will by Jeroen Olyslaeghers. This is also available in English. I read Tosca by Vanhauwaert. You know, the book I was telling about with the closed pages. I have here some closed pages left. So yeah, it was, here you can see it, wait. And you see, so I had to open every page with a knife. And that felt good. Felt really good. Now, that one, and I also read Krank by Giuseppe Minervini. He's a Flemish writer, so you have to watch till the end. I also read Everybody Knows by Harper and A Woman Running in the Mountains by, I forgot her name, Yuko Tsushima. So yeah, let's start with Yuko Tsushima, A Woman Running in the Mountains. I've read this on the train whilst I was going to my father. So the story starts with a woman that is highly pregnant, and she checks herself into a hospital, a maternity place, and of course they ask, where is your husband? And she doesn't have one. She is a single mother and she's proud of it. And she's also very dreamy and very not really in touch with reality often. And yeah, she is a bit of a kid still, and so yeah, they check her in. She has to wait a couple of days because the child wasn't ready yet, and then she has her child, and then she takes it back to her parents. Her parents weren't happy with her pregnancy, because what would the neighbors say? And then everything evolves. But it is really about the struggle of her being an adult or a dreamer. And you can be both, but you have to take care of the child too. And more and more you can feel that she isn't ready for the responsibilities of having a child, and then she meets people, and it's a sort of coming of age story, but it's more of a being aware that having children also calls for a lot of responsibilities, and being an adult. You can do whatever you like when you're single and alone and traveling the world and stuff. If it's only you, then it's no problem. But if you have a child, you have to take care of your child too. And that's her struggle. It is a quite detached novel, which I often feel with Japanese literature, but nevertheless, I enjoyed it. It was a 4-star read for me. The prose is very simple, very basic, but it needed that. Maybe it's also because of the translation, I don't know. But I really, really enjoyed it, didn't love it, but I enjoyed the experience of reading this book. So if I would get another book in my hands by Yuko Tsushima, then I would definitely read it. So A Woman Running in the Mountains, 4 stars for me. So would I buy it? Maybe, yeah. Definitely a borrow. And then you can see it. If it's in the library, go for it. You won't feel like you've wasted your time, that's for sure. Then another book by Jeroen Olyslaeghers. Jeroen Olyslaeghers is a Flemish author, and he wrote a very, very personal story. This is called Will. This is a story of his grandfather, and it is set in the Second World War. So he lived in Antwerp, his grandfather lived in Antwerp, and he was a young kid when the Nazis came and took everything over. He was like 18, and yeah, you still have to work while there's a war. Life still goes on when there's a war. And the problem is that if you don't have a job or your factory closes because of so many things, people don't have any money to buy stuff, so a lot of factory closed. And if you don't have a job, you are sent to work camps. And that happened, for instance, to my uncle. He was sent to a labor camp in Czechia. And it's you have to work, or you're sent away and die maybe in a camp. I can assure you, my uncle doesn't have any lovely stories about that camp. He had a lot of hunger and cold. But what can you do? Well, his grandfather decides to become a member of the police, so he is accepted. And the police doesn't really have power when the Germans are there, but still they have to make sure that nobody steals and stuff. But after a while, they are forced to arrest Jews and put them on the trains. And that is not so easy. And what will you do? What can you do? Can you refuse? What will happen if you refuse? And especially, there were a lot of people that he actually knew, in daily life. He went to their stores. His barber was a Jew. It is an incredible, painful book to read, hard to read, but also very understandable. It shows that there is no black and white, there only are shades of grey, and you can try to follow the rules but still bend them to save people, but it's not always easy. And it's a very, very interesting book to read. There's also now a movie coming out, but it's in Dutch. But I think that this movie, it is very well done. It's by directed by Tim Mieland, and he is, amongst others, the director of Peaky Blinders, amongst others, The Terror. He also, I believe, directed a couple of episodes of The Terror. It's a really good director. It's really well acted, I'm told. So I'm looking forward to see it. It's just out in Belgian cinemas. But I highly recommend this book, Will by Jeroen Olyslaeghers. Very good book. Then I buddy read with Patricia Heith's The Glass Cell. This is The Glass Cell. This is a translation. And it's about a man who is incarcerated, but innocently, for fraud. And he has to sit 8 years. And he endures a lot of horrible treatments, and he doesn't really fit in. He's not a classic criminal. He is just a white-collar criminal, as we call it. And he sees things happening between the prisoners. He sees things happening with the guards, and it's a horror, absolute horror. But he's married, and then he finally is released, and he goes back to his wife, and then things happen. Now, the first half of the book I thought was really good, really interesting. You feel that she tried to do something else, because it's she also tried to put across a message. It was written in 1961, I believe. So that's 10 years before Attica, I believe, more or less. Sorry, I have to sneeze. It's gone away. And so she really wanted to tell a story and show how bad it was in prisons. And then he's left out of prison. And then we go back to the old Patricia Highsmith. Is it a good book? Well, it's good. If it was another author and this would be my first read, I would say, oh, well written, I would read again. But it's Patricia Highsmith, and Patricia Highsmith can do better than this. We both were a bit disappointed. This is a solid 3.5 stars. First half, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Second half, also good, but another story. And yeah. And then what else did I read that I can tell you? Oh, I'm currently reading George Michael, Alive, written by James Gavin. This is a phenomenal book, very, very well written, very well done, very well researched, also written with a lot of respect and without judging George Michael, without highlighting especially his mental difficulties, his mental struggles. This is a must-read for George Michael fans. I was, when Wham came up, I was a teenager, so I was a fan. There was a George Michael poster above my bed and everything. So yeah, I'm glad I'm reading this, and it is not an easy read, but it's a fascinating read. The man had a lot of talent, but his insecurities became bigger than his talent, and yeah, that is his downfall. So yeah, it is very much worth reading, very much worth your time. Then I finished that yesterday, Everybody Knows by Jordan Harper. Now, I read a couple of raving reviews in the New York Times and in a Dutch magazine, and they were both raving. Now, this is a story about May Pruitt. May Pruitt works as sort of publicist for in LA for the rich and famous, and suddenly her boss is shot dead in front of the building. And at the beginning, you have a very big Harvey Weinstein kind of feel, where she has to be really careful with her boss because she wants him as an ally, but she is also scared of him because he can't keep his hands to himself. So there's a lot of Harvey Weinstein things coming into the book. And then, yeah, of course, she wants to know who killed her boss. And there she meets Chris. Chris is an ex-cop who was fired because he took matter in his own hands. He really thought as a cop he was, he couldn't be harmed by, he was above the law. Let's keep it to that. He was above the law. And then he was fired. And yeah, he, together with May, they investigate his murder, but they come across a whole lot of other stuff that can't see the daylight. And it has to do with influencers, and there's a mass murder, and there's a fire on Skid Row where all the tents of the homeless are put on fire. So there's a whole lot going on that is below the surface of the spick and span LA that you see on TV, but not in reality. It is a very fast-paced novel. Was it the best thriller that I have ever read? No. There was a lot of action, but I didn't feel connected to the action. Sometimes you really can dig in a book and then you can't wait to finish the book. And I didn't have that with Everybody Knows. For me, it was just an okay thriller. It was not the best thriller that I've ever read, or the best thriller of the last year. I think there are better thrillers, but enjoyable nevertheless. It was very good to keep my mind off more serious stuff, and it was just what I needed. I will shortly talk about Tosca, because I made a video about Tosca. So the story is really about May, she also a May, and she is a professor in Russian literature and translations, and she also works as a freelance translator. And she's married, and her partner wants to have a baby, and then she meets Aline, a young girl, 17, 18, and she is very, very traumatized, that girl, and she can only communicate via text, and May gets more and more fascinated by Aline, and she takes care of her, but after a while it gets all more blurry, and what can you believe and what can't you believe, because May is not the most trustworthy storyteller. What's fun is that there are also poems, because at heart Maud Vanhauwaert is known as a poet. This is her first novel, so there's a lot of poetry throughout the book, and it gives you some time to reflect and to stand still, and also it helps with, because you have to open every page, but that's not with, this is with a special edition. You have the normal edition, and then you don't have to open the pages. This one was with the possibility to open the pages with a knife, slowly. And she really wants to say that a lot of people are a closed book, and the story opens itself very, very slowly to you. And I really liked it. Reviews are mixed. Some don't like it. I loved it, and I kind of like when mixed reviews are mixed, because you read more with an open mind. When you read a book like Everybody Knows, where the reviews are absolutely raving, you are expecting a lot more. And now I was reading with an open mind, and I highly, highly enjoyed it. This was a good book. And so that's it. For Classics and Company, we are starting to read, as from today, Moonstone by Wilkie Collins. So it also falls quite well in the Victober session. So if you want to join us on Discord, please do. It's always fun. I haven't finished The Tale of Genji as yet, because there were a lot of trouble difficulties in the family. Nothing that we could do about it, but still when people get ill, and my cousin passed away last Tuesday, I'm sorry. Last Tuesday, and it makes you more difficult to focus on a book. So, Moonstone now we are going to read by Wilkie Collins. People who loved Woman in White will also love this one. So please join us on the Discord. I will put a link down below. And I'm also buddy reading with Ollie, another Ollie buddy read, A.M. Holmes, The End of Alice. I will be glad that this one is finished. That's all I have to say about that one. That's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a really good reading week and some wonderful adventures to talk about. And tell me what you're reading, and if you have any recommendations, please do. I'm always open to read new material and to discover new books. So thank you for watching. Bye bye. Zo ja, hier zijn we terug. Ik ga even koffie drinken. Sorry. Lang geleden dat ik nog eens een boek gereviewd heb in het Nederlands. Tosca van Vanhauwaert. Ik vond het een fenomenaal boek. Ik heb er echt wel van genoten. Maud kan ongelooflijk goed schrijven. Daar is echt geen... Hoe zij met taal schildert is ongelooflijk. Natuurlijk kun je niet verwachten dat ze van elke zin een pareltje maakt, want het verhaal moet ook vooruit natuurlijk en het moet ook verteld worden. De gedichten die erin staan zijn fenomenaal. Ik ga er eentje voorlezen. Ik sta op de markt met sneeuwbollen, daarin taferelen uit mijn kindertijd. Een man passeert, schudt even met de bollen en loopt door. Een vrouw passeert en kijkt. Naar de bollen, dan naar mij, verdwijnt. Nog een ander vraagt de prijs. Ik zeg, je krijgt ze zo en weet je wat? Je krijgt er nog 100 roebel bij. 'S'avonds neem ik de bollen weer mee naar huis. Schud hard en blijf schudden. Want zolang het wit niet is neergedaald. Dit boek is, ik vind het echt wel goed. Het gaat echt wel over May die zo wat zit tussen nieuw leven. En dan Aline en haar partner die vooral verlangt naar nieuw leven. En dan Aline die in haar leven komt en die verlangt vooral naar de dood. En het is zo een getouwtrek tussen de twee, wat het boek heel erg bijzonder maakt. Dus ik vond het een ongelooflijk mooi boek. Zeer goed geschreven, ze heeft een mooie stem. En ja, die ervaring met die pagina's, ik vond het leuk. Maar aan een tijd denk ik wel van, ik wil het wel lezen natuurlijk. Maar kijk, het staat hier van achter, zij is een gesloten boek. Beter dan ik kan niemand haar lezen. Zo mooi. Dus ja, aanrader. Tosca, Maud Vanhauwaert. Of Maud Vanhauwaert. En dan heb ik me laten verleiden om dit boek te kopen. Krank van Giuseppe Minervini. Giuseppe Minervini is een Belgische auteur, een Vlaamse auteur. Die woonde boven de pizzeria van zijn ouders. En ja, hij werd veel alleen gelaten. En dat heb je vaak met kinderen van mensen met een eigen zaak. En hij heeft zich dan verdiept in de literatuur natuurlijk. Krank is een document dat X geschreven, zoals men oud buurman, zijn naam was ook X, maar gewoon I en dan een X. En ik zit in de dodencel. Het is zo'n beetje een parallele wereld. Je zit in de dodencel en hij schrijft Krank een document aan de rechter waarin hij zijn vrijspraak bepleit. Klinkt heel interessant. Hij spreekt over van alle soorten dingen die hem overkomen zijn. Ook over, wat was haar naam? Kraspunt. Hij wordt ook verliefd op een vrouw die heet Kraspunt. En ja, dus er gebeurt van alles wat. Nu, zijn proza is geweldig, het is fenomenaal. Maar je raakt er ook volledig in verloren. In de zin van, het is meer stijl dan inhoud. En ik heb ook nergens het gevoel dat hij een document schrijft aan iemand. Bij Tosca is dat ook zo het geval. Maud schrijft aan Didier, dat is haar collega of haar uitgever. En hier is het dus aan de rechter. Maud die denkt er af en toe aan om toch een woordje aan hem te richten. Hier heb je dat totaal niet. En het is eigenlijk gewoon een grote stijloefening en daar raak je toch wel wat in verloren. Het leest heel vlot, toch wel, want hij heeft echt wel een goede pen, dus het is een leuke ontdekking. Maar ik denk dat hij een uitgever nodig heeft die hem zeer strikt begeleidt, om toch maar iets of wat van een verhaal te maken dat een beetje klopt. Want eigenlijk heel veel moet hij niet doen om het verhaal te doen kloppen. Maar het klopt nu ergens niet. En daarin heeft hij mij verloren. Dus ik zat ongeveer over een derde. Ik weet niet als ik verder ga lezen. Ik weet het niet. Maar ik ben het ook totaal vergeten wat hij allemaal schreef. Dus het is zo heel psychotisch geschreven ook. Maar het gaat ook over een organisatie, Liefgenezen of zoiets, waar dat hij een revolutie mee gepland had en zo. Maar het houdt weinig steek. Nu, ik snap wel ergens wat dat hij wil doen. Want vaak, mensen die voor zichzelf pleiten, kunnen dingen uitkramen dat je denkt van... maar hier moet je toch nog altijd wel een beetje je lezer begeleiden. Het is niet zoals met... het doet mij ergens denken aan de Nocilla-trilogie van de Spaanse schrijver. Ik ben nu zijn naam vergeten, Mas of zoiets. Ik ben het kwijt. Waar dat je ook niet wist wat je las, maar je vond het wel fantastisch. En hier weet je ook niet wat je leest, je vindt het ook leuk, maar het is het zit erover. Nu, het kan zijn dat andere mensen het wel tof gaan vinden. Ik ben alleszins blij dat er een nieuw jong talent opstaat, maar ik denk niet dat dit een bestseller gaat worden. Dat twijfel ik aan. Maar ik denk wel, als hij zo dat experimentele uit zijn lijf krijgt, dat er fenomenale boeken uit gaan komen. Die mogen ook experimenteel zijn, maar je moet iets meer aandacht hebben voor de persoon die het leest. Iets meer, maar echt niet veel. Hè? 10% meer en je zei het er al. Ja, ik vond het een boeiend boek. Wel, maar ik was... Ja, een keer... Kijk, ik heb dat in 1 ruk gelezen. Maar daarna was ik het kwijt. Was het uit de flow. Misschien ga ik het terug oppakken, ik weet het niet. Het is misschien ook omdat ik in moeilijke tijden zit. Maar het was toch niet 100% mijn goesting. Maar wel blij dat ik het ontdekt heb. Zo ja, bedankt voor het kijken. Bye bye.